So yeah, it's pretty crusty. Like if you see my edges, like you can see all like the crust from like the edge control. So yeah, that like that white crust is like that. It's pretty crusty because I haven't washed it in a while and everything like that. So yeah, I am excited to get this hair out and like um do another one. I really enjoy doing my own hair. It's actually like a nice fun pastime. Um I don't necessarily like um doing hair like in general just because like I feel actually not feel bad, but like I know it can be so annoying to do other people's hair. Like, because then you feel rushed. It's not the same. Like, after a while, just like anything that's like art, like, after a while, it doesn't feel like fun anymore because it's a job, right? So, like, you feel rushed to do it. So yeah, like, I definitely enjoy doing it as a pastime for myself or for like my mom or like a friend. But like to do it as a business, it can just feel it can be very overwhelming sometimes. So, um, yeah. So, but yeah, I enjoy doing it as a pastime. That's all I was gonna say there. Um, Yeah, I don't know if I'll start answering questions now. Like, I don't know how people do the whole multitasking thing and like doing like get ready with me's. I'm just like, even me just taking out my hair, like undoing something and talking, it seems like a little bit difficult. Where did I put the scissors? So yeah, you're gonna see me. I'm just gonna like literally cut these since my hair is so short. I can cut it pretty close to some of them. I could probably like literally just pull them out. But I don't actually, I felt like I was gonna tear my actual hair, so I won't do that. I'll cut it. But it's not gonna take long to take out at all because like I was saying, my hair is like less than a TW right now. Just gonna quickly look for my scissors. Ay, ay, ay. Um, I guess maybe I can start with like my decision to go into med school. Um, so my decision, I don't know if I already mentioned this in one of the vlogs. If not, I think I've just said it in so many times in real life, just because if you are a nurse that is going into medicine, be prepared to answer this like every single day. Every single day that somebody finds out that you're a nurse or you were in some other profession and then you went into medicine. No, you know what? I can't even pretend and say like any other profession. It's specific to anybody who was like in nursing. If you were in nursing and you were going into medicine, be very prepared to like answer this question all the time for various reasons. I guess people are curious about like why you would go from nursing into medicine. Um, and I think that there's various reasons that somebody would do that. So there's different situations. In my own situation, I didn't have the intention of doing that when I was in med school. So when I was in med school, when I was in nursing or in nursing school, so I didn't have like the preemptive idea that when I was going into nursing, I was going to go into nursing to get out and then go into med school. I thought I was going to stay in nursing, maybe like go and become a nurse practitioner. Um, and maybe that would be it. Or like, honestly, I didn't really have a plan for nursing just because nursing in itself was not something I was planning to do. So I didn't have like a plan for like what's really next. Like somewhat I had an idea, maybe I want to, be a nurse practitioner, but even then I wasn't like really like solid on it. So I just have my little garbage bag to put in the old hair. Yeah, it wasn't like super solid on like, okay, what am I gonna do next? Um, but yeah, what had happened. What kind of storyteller am I? Anyways, what had happened was I started nursing and in the beginning too, like I wasn't even like doing stuff that was really acute. To be like very honest, like I had applied. I remember when I really first got out of nursing, I had applied to a ward like in the acute care setting, like in the hospital, because like everybody who was in nursing was doing that. Everybody like that was my program. They were applying to the hospital and getting jobs in the acute care setting. And I'm just like, I want to do that too, I guess. Like I didn't have a plan. I was just kind of like following along, trying to figure out what am I gonna do. So I didn't have a unit that I particularly like. Some people were like, they knew. Some people were like, they got out. They're like, I want to be a cardiology nurse. I want to be a neurology nurse. I want to be a psych nurse. I'm just like, I was just there, just go along for the ride. And that's been like my story for like most of my life. I'm just kind of like trying to figure it out. Like, and I just happen to be in the right place at the right time, I guess. But yeah, I had applied to the hospital, but with no real like desire to work on a specific floor. So it probably showed through in my interviews, and I didn't get a job in the hospital when I first applied, which is probably a good thing because I didn't know what I was doing. So my first job ended up being in the community. I worked in the community for about a year. So just so you know, like I finished nursing school like maybe just about a year and some change before COVID, like a little bit before that, like before COVID. And so this was before COVID. So just keep that in mind, and then the transition as well. So yeah, I had started nursing before COVID. I worked in the community. I was doing like home care visits. It was actually like a pediatric home care visit, and I loved it actually, which is funny because currently I'm just like, I don't think I'd ever want to work in peds and medicine. But I always forget that like one of my first jobs in nursing was a pediatric nurse. And so like I worked with like little babies that were like sick but not sick enough to have to stay in the hospital. So some of them would like, you'd go to their home and they like literally had like tubes everywhere. Like they would have breathing tubes, they would have like feeding tubes. And so it was interesting because even though I was kind of scared to be in acute care, I was doing a lot of like, I was introduced to like a lot of things that wouldn't typically be in a community setting really early on, and like really independently, because like when you're in the community, no one's there. Like there's no doctor that's like right there that you can be like, hey, I'm kind of scared. And so I'd always have like this like kind of nervous feeling. But being in the community, I was kind of reassured that, well, they're not really unstable enough to be in the hospital, so they should be pretty okay. And oftentimes the families were also really knowledgeable about the children as well, obviously, right? Because there was times when like maybe they couldn't get like a home care nurse, and so the family knew how to take on these roles. And so that as well was reassuring to me that like, okay, I don't have to know everything. The family knows most of the things, and I'm kind of just there to be like an extra hand and eyes for when whoever it is needs to go to bed, basically. So yeah, that was my first job in the community, and I would just go to different homes on different nights, and I loved it. I really vividly remember like all of the kids that I took care of. Um, yeah. And so I was working in the community, and then after that I decided to apply to the nursing home that I actually used to be a healthcare aide at. And so I applied to the nursing home there, and so I started being um a charge nurse there, because just automatically if you apply there as a registered nurse, you're going to be a charge nurse. um Sorry, I'm like trying to like cut this and talk at the same time. You're going to be a charge nurse, um because anybody else, like any of the other nurses, they're going to be RPNs. Like anybody who's like directly giving out medication or like doing patient care, they should be an RPN. And then they have a charge nurse that kind of does a lot more admin stuff, which I'm not an admin person at all. So you could already tell that that was not my favorite role. And I love geriatrics. It's not like I don't like the geriatric population. I just didn't like the role of an administrative, like I didn't like an administrative role. And so that's mainly your duty when you're working as a registered nurse in the long-term care. And I'm like, it's not for me. And so very, very quickly, I'm like, even though I'm like not really into the acute care setting, I'm like, I'm not into this admin stuff at all. So I reapplied to the hospital again. And after having a bit of, I think, experience in the community, experience in the long-term care home, finally, like I got an interview, and then I did my head to toe. I failed it the first time. So back then, like, it was harder to get a job as a nurse back then. It was like, it was still um, like it wasn't the nurses that had, I wouldn't say the upper hand, but like there wasn't like as much of as a shortage. Actually, it was the opposite. There was the opposite. I actually forgot there was like a hiring freeze for nurses. So people would be going like further and further to get jobs. Like you couldn't even get a job in core Toronto because like they didn't need nurses. There was a hiring freeze. Like even in like London where I was at the time, like I couldn't get a job because there was a hiring freeze. I completely forgot. And like they were cutting nurses on different units right before COVID, eh? So it completely changed when COVID happened. And then like all of a sudden we had like we had our pick. We could go absolutely anywhere. And that's kind of how I ended up getting into like into different units. But anyways, so when I was first applying, like I applied the first time, we had to do a head to toe. Like they give you like a scenario and like you have to do an assessment and find out what's going on and like give your nursing diagnosis and everything like that. First one failed, had to do it again. I think I did it. I think I failed twice. I was so embarrassed. I'm just like, what's going on? What is happening here? And this is like consistent throughout most of my life, which is what again makes me a really resilient person. Whatever it is that I do, I'm never the best at it. I'm usually, if I'm being honest, I'm pretty mediocre, which I don't know if people feel comfortable saying that about themselves, but I know that like I'm not somebody who's like naturally like gifted or whatever at anything. If there is a gift that I have, it's like trying and not giving up. Like I will fail at everything like multiple times, be bad at it until I'm good at it, you know? So like even with nursing, like the unit that I came from, there are nurses that are way smarter than me, like hands down, like amazing nurses. But I just happen to be somebody who will keep on trying and trying and trying until I get it. So like that's really all that I would say is 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 my is my strength. Is yeah, like I keep on trying until I get something. For instance, something that I used to really struggle with, which I still kind of do, because again, that's why I always talk about me being long-winded, is giving report as a nurse. Like I always used to be everywhere. Like I would jump from like talking about their head to talking about their toes to talking about their GI, and like the nurse getting a report from me is just like, what is the point here? Like, what are you trying to say? And I'm like, I don't know. Until like I kind of like got my system. I would learn. I would kind of take from other nurses. I would see how they would give report, and eventually, like I built my perfect cheat sheet. And then from there, I would always give report in the exact same way, from like head to toe. Do the labs, do the plan, da da da. But it took a lot of practice for me. So for me, like nothing really is like super like, and I guess that's a lot of people. I shouldn't just say for me, but in case people just assume that like there was something special about me. No, I was like a mediocre nurse. I was a mediocre student, but I just have always tried really hard. And that's the secret, I guess. Um so yeah, so I was working in community, went to long-term care, got tired of long-term care very quickly, went to acute care, and the first job that I got hired for, just because I think it's because I failed like my head to toes like so many times. They're just like, we won't give you a unit. We'll give you all the units. You need to go and have a look at everything. And I honestly, I loved it. Like, so I was what they call a resource nurse, which means that you can get sent to any unit. So when you come in for a shift, you find out, okay, you're going to be on neurology today. Okay, you're going to be on internal medicine, and then tomorrow you're going to be on palliative care and geriatrics. The next day, whatever, cardiology. So that was actually like the best thing that could have happened to me. And see, sometimes if you're sad about something, it can really be your blessing. Just because I really wanted to be on a specific floor. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to be on cardiology when I first started, but like I was just not good at cardiology. Like I didn't know a lot. I didn't even know how to read an ECG, but I'm just like, I want to work on cardiology. And so I got hired for nurse resource, and it just gave me a little bit of a taste of every different unit. And I think that made me strong in terms of like my baseline as being an acute care nurse, at least. So if you're going to be in the acute setting, it's nice to have like a taste of everything. Like you know what like neuro symptoms look like, you know what cardiac symptoms look like, GI things as well. Like I was kind of like I had a little bit of knowledge of everything, even though I wasn't really very good at any one thing. I had a little bit of knowledge to get me by for everywhere that I would go. And I always knew how I was resourceful. Nurse resource team teaches you to be resourceful. So you go to a different unit. Okay, I don't know where this is, but I knew who to ask for what to do. Like I don't know what this is, but I knew how to quickly look it up. So I was very resourceful. And that was a really strong skill that I was able to build through being a resource nurse. So I love that. That was my first job. Then COVID happened. So now it was like maybe about a year and some change of me working. COVID happened. and then you had to pick a unit, and on top of that you had to pick a setting. You could no longer, I was working still 3 jobs at that time, so like I had my full-time job working as a nurse resource, like on the resource team, but then I was part-time in the community, and part-time, or part-time slash casual, I guess I was more casual, at the long-term care home. So I had 3 jobs. I was like working like every day, sometimes twice a day. Um, and then I had to cut off both of them. Like I cut off the community and I cut off the long-term care. And then this is more of me just chit-chatting than showing you how I'm doing my hair, but hey, I really can't. I clearly cannot multitask. Um Also, I feel like if I talk while I'm doing this, it's gonna be super long, and I don't know if anybody's trying to watch me for like, did I cut my hair? I did. So let me not talk while I'm doing this. Like I already have like no hair, and I'm cutting off the little hair that I have. Yeah, because this one's a little bit longer. Okay. Somebody else is there like, what are you talking about? You don't have hair right now. Okay. Um, but yeah, so I picked to work in the acute care, and so I started working. I think at that time they were like sending all the resource nurses. For some reason, they split us between like the GI unit and medicine. So that's where I was most of the time. And so I was getting really strong on my medicine skills and GI. And then COVID happened. I moved in with who I was with at the time. And so I was in Toronto. Um, but yeah, I got to have my first like home unit in Toronto. I worked at St. Joe's. I was on their uh GI and thoracics. I think it was GI and thoracics. Yeah, GI thoracics and oncology. I honestly don't. Yeah, I don't remember what the name of the unit was because there was like a couple different things on that unit. But I was really building my skills as a nurse on that unit. And then finally, like there was an opening to go to the ICU, and they were sponsoring you to take this course. And I'm like, they're sponsoring you to take a course in the ICU. I said, for sure. So as you can see, like my transition in nursing, I was getting more and more acute. Like I started off not even really being that interested in the whole thing. And then I was building this like desire for acuity and like more independence and all that, like I was moving into the ICU. And to be honest, by the end of my ICU course, sorry, by the end of my ICU course, I was kind of already getting an inkling for, I think I'm gonna apply to med school. Like I wasn't 100% sure, but like I was already getting the book. So I'm just like, my foot was already there. Like I was kind of already like, yeah, I have the books, but I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Wasn't like I was studying here and there, but like not ever like super serious, like committed to the studying. And then when I was starting to work, I was like seriously like really studying. I'm just like, I'm really doing this. I'm gonna apply to med school. So yeah, so that's kind of how my transition was. So I don't know if that gives you an answer, like a straightforward answer for like why did I go into medicine, but that kind of gives you an explanation of like how it worked. That was my transition. I went from like non-acute to like really acute, and kind of built my thirst for wanting more acuity, wanting some more independence, more understanding of what is going on. And yeah, that's how I ended up in med school. In terms of like why did I want to do it, I think that's kind of where it comes to. Like I think I was at this point where I kept on trying to want to do more and more and more. And the answer of why didn't I go with NP or PA, the truth is like the route that I was going on, it seemed like I had this curiosity that I wanted to keep on going. It's not necessarily like, even at this point, it's not like I have an idea of, I want to work in this setting and I want this independence in this setting. And so I feel like if you're going into NP, you kind of have an idea of where you want to work. And I remember hearing it from another NP. This might not be true. So like, I'm sorry if you're an NP and like, you're just like, no, that's not right. You can feel free to correct me in the comments for sure. I remember this other person, they were saying how they felt pigeonholed as an NP. And I was kind of like, I don't even 100% know what I want to do. I might end up in the position again, similar to like being in nursing, where I'm just like, I kind of want to see what else. And I just didn't want to be in that position of like, what else? So I'm just like, if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go back to school, I want to just go ahead and make sure that I have all the options that I could possibly have. So I'm not like always wondering like, what if I go back and do study this? Like I'll just do it now. And if that did not work out, then okay, maybe I would consider doing NP. But it seemed like I just kind of wanted to have the full scope. And so if I could have the full scope and not feel pigeonholed, like not feel like I'll still like limited in the areas that I can work in completely independently, then I really want to go to med school. Yeah. So, yeah, again, I don't hear myself as I'm saying these things. I'm going to watch it back and be like, I don't even think I'm saying cohesive sentences. I've been up since pretty early just because of we had clinical skills today, and then after that we had another course. So as far as how coherent I am right now, I don't know. I was honestly gonna go to sleep, but then like something in me is just like, just do your hair, because like part of me is just like sometimes like this is gonna go back into the hair video, but like sometimes I'm just like, if I don't do my hair, then I can't move on and do other things. Like this is for real. So I'm just like, if I don't do my hair, like I'm thinking of all the things that I want to do on my break, and I'm just like, if I could get this over and done with, this is one thing that I'm done, and then I can just kind of do other things. Again, you don't have to do your hair. I've already had this talk, 4C hair, da da da, like for sure. Like you can just rock your 4C hair. I could just rock my 4C hair. But me knowing that I'm gonna be the one that's doing my hair, like I do my own hair, and I will at some point during the break be doing it. I'm just like, I'd rather that be the first thing I do and then just be done. Because again, perseveration, I'm one of those people that need to get something done before I move on to the next thing. So I'm just like, do my hair, live my life. Okay. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. So I'm going to pause the video. Like, I don't know if I'm going to add more on while I'm doing my hair, but I just don't want this thing that should be a chit chat to be like forever long. I don't know if somebody would want to watch me for that long. If you do, wow, like that's really boosting up my ego, but like, I don't know if anybody would want to watch me for that long. So I'm going to pause it for now and maybe come back when I've taken out some of my hair and didn't cut off the no hair that I have. Anyway, so I will see you guys in a bit. Hey, so okay, I'm back. I want to like kind of start like maybe what I'll do is like give you like quick updates on where I am so that like it's not wasting so much time. I think I went off for like maybe like 10 minutes, and so I'm back now. So I've gotten like a couple lines from the back off. As you can see, like I get like it looks really weird. Like there's like some straight pieces, but if you go to the top, then you can see like my 4C hair, which is why I'm just like at this point I'm not really trying to just rock it like this, because there's like two different textures, but it's not even long enough where I could like try to merge the textures in some kind of style. So there's not really much I could do, and I'm not really up for like cutting it again, and I don't want to retexturize the roots. So yeah, I think the best thing I could do, or like what I would like to do is just kind of like do faux locks or like braids or whatever until I grow out that straight bit. And like I just have at least like, somewhat of a TWA so that I could like rock that. But yeah, I like can keep on chit chatting about nursing, or like my transition from nursing into medicine. And so, yeah, I feel like when I was deciding that I wanted to go into medicine, I was kind of like a little bit like secretive about it. And I feel like people around me like kind of like probably felt like bad, like, why didn't I tell them? And it wasn't, of course, it wasn't like about them or anything like that. It had more to do with me and my self esteem in terms of like going into medicine, which is why I wouldn't have even like as an initial thought, which is like why when people like ask me like, did you always have the intention of going to medicine, I'm just like, no. Like the closest thing that I could say that of my idea of going into like medicine or like a professional school was dentistry. But even then, I wasn't I only used to like say that I want to go into dentistry just because I'm just like, I need to pick something after my undergrad, because I had my undergrad and it was biology, and I had the option to like, work at a lab, go into research, do something like that after. I wasn't really interested when I had like with my co-op, I wasn't really interested in working in the lab, but I was just doing it because that's what my co-op in my undergrad was. I did not just all this so that because I know it's about to go sideways like everywhere, I'm just speaking about everything. I didn't have a blueprint. Going into school, going in for my undergrad, I did not have a blueprint. I did not have somebody like saying, do this, this is what you're gonna do after. I went into school like it's not on anybody. My mom wanted us to like do post-secondary education because that was what, people were doing. People needed to go to school, go to university. There wasn't a plan though. I was just in university to go to university, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to come out and do. And so there was a lot of confusion when I was finished. I definitely didn't have the idea of medicine. Why? Because I didn't think a me could do medicine. I didn't think a me was smart enough to do medicine. Like, I really did have this whole like aura around what I thought medicine was. And I just didn't think that I was in that. Like, I didn't think to write the MCAT because I'm just like, me write the MCAT? What? Like, why? It didn't compute. So like when it came down to like even though like I was already working in the ICU and I was feeling like, a bit more confident in myself in terms of like somebody who works in medicine, I still didn't fully have the confidence of saying like I'm somebody who's applying to med school because I didn't believe that I was somebody that should apply to med school. That's the truth. And I didn't believe it until I did well on the MCAT. I didn't really see it for myself until I did well on the MCAT. And yeah, so I didn't
and a 498 MCAT because you won't get in. It's important that you apply anyway. And guess what? She got into medical school. Why? Not because she earned it, but because of DEI. Now, this video in particular is starting a huge conversation about diversity, equity, inclusion, so let's weigh in.
feel like sharing that with somebody when it felt like so not like delicate, like sensitive. Like I just didn't because I wasn't super confident about it myself. Even now, so you see how now people constantly like question me about like my transition from nursing to medicine. I wouldn't have had the courage, like the strength to like discuss that when I was applying because I didn't even have the confidence yet. Now, having already got in, I have a bit more confidence, but even then, like I still get nervous when people ask me, like, why? Like, why did you transition? Because it always feels like sometimes you can see that it's from a genuine place of people are just curious, but sometimes it really does feel like somebody's interrogating what are your motives? Like, why would you go from nursing into medicine? And I just didn't have the confidence at that time to defend myself. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to just do this. I won't talk about it until I'm already in because I don't have the words to express what I'm doing or the confidence to defend myself. Because it kind you kind of do have to defend yourself a little bit because people constantly do ask still, why would you even go from nursing into medicine? Why didn't you either just stay a nurse? Why didn't you go into NP? Like there's a lot of like questions about that. So you should have some confidence when you're answering that question and I didn't. So that's the short that was barely short, but that's the answer for why didn't I really tell people when I was making my transition. Yeah, it wasn't about the people I didn't tell. It was more about me not feeling super comfortable at that time. Okay. And I will restart this when I guess, when I've gotten a little bit farther and I answer another question. Okay, so yeah, let's continue having this chit chat. Okay, so yeah, I think I had just finished talking about my being like kind of like nervous to tell people or having discomfort around that. And this is kind of why I'm so passionate about mentorship or like I'm so passionate about something like the career pathways. I wonder if people are just like why do you care? Like are you just doing this for another like another way to like something to put on your resume, something like that. No, like it like you can do anything and put it on your like your CV, for residency. I figure if you're gonna do something, at least choose some stuff that you actually enjoy. And that's how I feel about research too, because I'm not somebody who is drawn to research. So I'm just like if I'm gonna do it, it needs to be in something that I feel like is worthwhile. Like I would want to like look into this like even if I wasn't like trying to prepare to go into residency, if that makes sense. So in terms of like career pathways, the reason that that's so important, like if you haven't already gotten that from like my own like weird like way of getting into medicine, and I cut the story short for you. Like I started from nursing. I didn't start back at like the daycare and the gym and Uber and all that. Um, the reason I'm so passionate about it is because not just to give people the blueprint, but it's really about the confidence piece. Like you need somebody to tell you that you can do it. Like it sounds like so corny and cheesy, but like I really wish somebody was like there like every step of the way, like at different points of my study, and they're just like, oh yeah, like this is like not even to encourage you, but like to make it seem like normalize it, to make it feel like yeah, you're in the right place. Like these are some of the next steps that you can take, rather than me always feeling like the next thing that I was going to do was like some huge mission, like to figure out, like, so that's kind of like why it's so important to me, just because I know what it feels like to just feel like the next step, just like you can't see it for yourself. So, yeah, I just want people to feel like, yeah, I see it for you. Like there's so many different people that see it for you. These are possible. Like it's not even like a big thing. Like you don't have to think about it like it's some huge like thing that nobody has done before. Like it's doable if it's something that you're interested in, like you go ahead and you do it. Because yeah, like I'm still trying to tell myself that yeah, like everybody gets imposter syndrome, right? So but like yeah, I'm always like telling myself yeah, like I deserve to be here too, like I'm supposed to be here. Because I did not have the confidence, right? So like, and you can see that from my story, like I didn't tell people because that's how like that's how much I just did not believe that this was something that was going to happen for me. So definitely like I'm always like celebrating where I am, just because I did not think that this was like a thing that was supposed to be for me. And to somebody else, this might not be like a big deal. Maybe you have family members that did this. It seems like, yeah, like medicine, why are you making it seem like it's this like huge thing on a pedestal? I didn't see it for myself. So of course I'm gonna celebrate every step of the way, right? Um, so yeah, so that's a little bit about like why like career pathways is so important to me and how that kind of relates to my own journey. And yeah, I'll try to think about the next thing before I come back on. But like that was just one thing that I thought about. Oh, and I just wanted to clarify because even if you are somebody who went into nursing with the intention of going into medicine, I think that's fine. Like nobody questions people who are like choosing other undergrads. Why did you like take this route as opposed to going down the direct route of that undergrad? For instance, people went into engineering and we celebrate that they come into medicine. We don't say, "Oh, why did you decide not to like continue on with engineering?" Like there's no interrogation there. There like I think there's always genuine interest, like, "Ooh, it's so cool that you went from an undergrad in philosophy to coming into medicine." Nobody says, why didn't you become a philosopher? But as somebody who's a nurse, you worked as a nurse, you can't just get away with saying, oh, like I worked as a nurse and now I want to go into medicine. I don't know if it's because the fields are so adjacent. I don't know if there's like some like context that I'm missing there, but you can't just get away with saying I was in nursing and I studied nursing and I and use that as just your undergrad and then go into medicine without it being a thing. So I've always been curious about like why it's been such a thing for nurses, but with other undergrads, it's just seen as an undergrad. Engineering is just seen as an undergrad. Philosophy, undergrad, right? Art, undergrad, English. Nobody says, why didn't you become an English prof? So it's a little bit something clearly that irritates me a bit, because I think people should be able to like choose whatever it is that they want to do without it feeling like they've like turned their back on this other thing. It's something that they've done, they've experienced it, they've it like you owe nothing to anybody. So it's always been kind of like a weird thing for me, but you will get asked it regardless. So just be prepared to answer.
Hey, good morning. Actually, let me clip this down. Ah, so at least I have my mic again. It was charging yesterday night, so I didn't have access to my mic, so maybe the sound's a little bit better. So as you can see, I'm in the same shirt, the same amount of hair. So I didn't really get to do much hair. Like honestly, I was getting so tired. It was pretty late, and yeah, even the idea to get my hair started was really ambitious. Um, but yeah, so the shirt has like officially become the shirt of like, I just didn't finish. I went to bed. If you see me in this shirt, yeah, I'm going to bed. I'm not gonna finish what I started. um, but yeah, and also, oh, if you see that my face is super shiny, it's just because usually like I'll put on some kind of oil after I wash my face. Um, which I just did. I should have done it last night, but like I just did it this morning. Today it was I have the Johnson John. Honestly, it'll just be anything. It'll just be any like baby oil. Okay, that's like usually I try to use bio oil, so that's usually, but it's empty. So yeah, I use the Johnson Johnson. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I guess I want to move on to the next thing, the next topic within this like I guess trail of events, or like somebody was, I guess only one person really had this question, but I figured there's going to be a lot of people who are curious about the transition from nursing into med school. So I'll just like answer as many questions as I can think of related to that topic and put it in one big chit chat video. So yeah, next thing is studying while working. Um, so I was working full time when I was studying for the MCAT, when I was putting together my application for med school. So at that time, as I think I got off on the last video, I was explaining my transition within nursing. So my last stop in nursing was the the cardiovascular intensive care unit. And so at that time, that's where I was working. Just to shorten it, CVICU in case I say it again. Um, so I was working full time there. And how did I get time to study for the MCAT? I took the MCAT twice. So that's one thing also to keep in mind. So the first time that I did study for it, I probably didn't have as much time dedicated as I would have liked. And on top of that, I didn't have like a routine for how to study it. Like I was saying, for me, it always takes me multiple tries. In this case, it took me 2 tries to get adjusted to what I'm doing. So the first time I took it, like I was studying here and there, but like I wasn't studying, I guess, as seriously as I should be. I didn't do terribly. Like we have very different. Okay, I won't say different standards, but they look for different things on the MCAT in the States versus in Canada. And so our MCAT scores overall will tend to be really high for who gets admitted just because of a particular section that they're looking for. Versus in the States, even though they value the overall score of the MCAT more, there's more spread between the different sections of the MCAT in the States versus in Canada. So maybe I'll make a video breaking that down one time and talk about how to study for the MCAT, and what resources I used. But essentially, on the first MCAT, I scored in the 78th percentile. Again, not terrible, not bad at all, especially in Canada where they only use it to for certain sections. So you don't have to do overall well. But typically, if you do well on that one section that they're looking for, your MCAT score is overall high. But that one section, it's called CARS, and that's kind of more of like a reading comprehension area, which has always been my weakest area. I've always been good at bio, decent at like something like physics, and psych, I've always found pretty easy. But reading comprehension has never been my strength, and so I struggled with that a lot. So that was the main reason that I retook the MCAT before before applying to med school. So yeah, 78th percentile the first time. The second time, I did a lot better than I could have imagined. I scored in the 97th percentile. And I did really well in the car section. So that was probably the reason why I was able to get multiple interviews in Canada, or contributed to me being able to get a lot of interviews in Canada. But yes, how did I study for it? Or not exactly how did I study for it, but how did I make time for it while being a nurse? And so what I would do is, a lot of people don't like night shifts. I love night shifts. Not even like I don't mind them. I prefer a night shift. So it was really easy for me to like switch my shifts and do it in a way that I could basically have a week off of work. Just because if you're doing shift work, you're doing 2 days on, 2 days, 2 nights, and then you have 4 days off. What I would do is do multiple nights pretty close together, in a legal way, of course. I would do multiple nights, and then I would have a long period of time off where I could dedicate to studying. And so I'd kind of have like these like intervening vacations. Like it should have been vacation time for somebody else. You could literally go on a vacation and come back. Yeah, so I would have like a good week and a bit off. I would use that dedicated to studying, come back, like just work a whole bunch and then kind of rotate it like that. And that was really how I did the bulk of my studying. But then if I couldn't always do it in a way where I could get like a long period of time off, I would study on my night shift. And so we have breaks, of course. Everywhere you work, you're going to have a bit of a break. So if I had a bit of a break, I would. We had a library in the hospital. We have an academic hospital, so I would go down to the library. I'll show you some pictures. Maybe I'll show you clips here. I don't know. I have the pictures still, I think. Um, I go and I'd be studying on my night shift. Um, yeah. And sometimes I would have my little cue cards and I would take them into the break room and I would just like shuffle through them. There was this other thing that I used. It was called, um, what was it called? And it was how I studied cars. Jack Weston. Jack Weston. So that was on my phone. So like I could literally be doing that anywhere. So if I would go into like the break room, the lunchroom, I would just like read a section and then do a quick little quiz and see where I was at. So that was how I made time for it. It was like being able to strategically get take my time off by like scheduling a whole bunch of nights because again it was so easy to switch for a night because nobody likes nights but I do, or there's a couple people who prefer nights but there's a lot more people who prefer days. I'd switch out my days, have like my pick of what nights I want to work on, and so I had a huge amount of time off where I could study. So that's how it worked, studying while working. So yeah, I'll get back to my hair and come back in a little bit. Hey, so now I'm starting to look a little bit more crazy. So like, yeah, as you can see, so this is my main reason for like not wanting or not really knowing what to do right now, just because, yeah, like I have the texturized ends that are dyed, like it's basically dead. Um, but yeah, I just kind of don't want to cut it down to my 4C because I barely have any 4C left. So I'm just like, I'd like my 4C to grow out before I like I cut out the texturized ends. But anyways, back to the conversation. Um, I'm getting like better at like not cutting my hair because I can see what length my hair is at now. Um, I think that another question people might have was about interviews, but I'm gonna do like a whole couple of videos like instructional series about like how to prepare for interviews. So that'll be a whole separate thing in case you're just like, oh, like what did you do for interviews? Another transition thing people I would think that somebody who is working full time, especially if you didn't go straight from like your nursing undergrad into med school, is about like income. And so that was a big thing for me too. Or like I think anybody could be curious about this because maybe you're just like, oh, I would love to go to med school, but I could never afford that. Like it's a lot of money. And I would love to do another separate video about that too, just because I am not the most financially literate person. And so it'd be great to like sit down with somebody who is like really financially literate and like really in the know about like med school, like how to finance your med school and like how to like not spend all your money, like that kind of stuff. Like it'd be nice to have somebody to talk about that. Even for myself to like kind of figure out like what are my next moves like going forward, like how do I not like get in a because already I'm automatically going to be in debt because I didn't have the money to pay for my tuition like 4 years of school. So through my nursing, I was able to like save enough for just like one semester of school. One semester of school is about like 12 grand. A full year of school would be wait, am I saying that right? Let me make sure I'm saying this right before I put this on there. But I'll get the numbers right for you. Like I'm just trying to think about my tuition. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 24 grand a year. I don't know why I'm confused about this. I just looked at my OSAP. So it's in and around like 24 grand a year for every Canadian school, which is still way better than paying for American schools. So again, in case somebody is just like on the fence, like, oh, like I want to apply to American school versus Canadian school, if like your main thing is like I just need to get into a school, um, and I want to do it now. I don't want to wait for another year or whatever. Okay, like just consider that American schools are going to be like 4 times as much as Canadian schools. So it's going to be like American. So USD, it's going to be about I think 350,000 for 4 years, compared to about like 100,000 for 4 years in Canada. So for me personally, that's why like I even took the MCAT again, because I think I could have possibly gotten into an American school with my first MCAT that I took like the year before. But I'm just like, I'm willing to wait a year to save to save $300,000. Like I'm not in like an immediate rush. Like I've already waited like many years. Like I'm a lot like older than a lot of people applying to med school. It wasn't a big thing for me to wait another year, make sure that my MCAT score was strong, make sure my application was strong before applying to Canadian school, just because of the huge cost difference. But in terms of paying for it, even though like yes, you're still like it's 300,000 cheaper, 100,000 is not a small amount to pay, and a lot of people don't have that out of their pocket. Like I was saying, like I think I had like 12 grand, which even for me, like to save that, like I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. To just have that as like liquid income, I guess, like not attached to anything. So I used that for my first semester, but after that, I already needed to tap into something called my line of credit. So when you are a student in a professional school, you'll get a line of credit that is different from the like the typical line of credit that you get. It's going to be enough to cover like all of your schooling, including like your rent and everything, because you're making like $0 during this time until you get into residency, and you have to have some way to support yourself. There are people that are able to like still work like casually, like I would say barely part time. Like if you're a nurse, I don't think you'd be able to survive med school and like have like a part-time job like for real in all 4 years. Maybe first year you could do part-time. Second year it's getting more dicey. I would say you'd have to drop down to casual. Third and fourth year it's just basically impossible, because at that point you're working as a clerk. So I'd be curious to know if there's anybody who like did the nurse to MD school transition and was able to work in third and fourth year. But for myself, I think after this year, like after this summer, I would be giving up my license as a nurse, just because I can't see myself having like any time to actually use that license to work. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do a final like contract, a nursing contract this year. Um, and then after that, I would be giving up my license. Um, yeah, actually, this is kind of too hard to do at the same time. I'll just again like kind of just give you updates about where I am. Yeah, it would be too hard to work and do clerkship, so it's just not really possible. So yeah, I won't be an RN anymore. Like I think there's a different class that you can still pay for that, or that you can maintain. Maybe I'll look into that if it's a lot cheaper, but like to pay like, upwards of 300, maybe $400 to maintain a license that I'm not using. Yeah, I can't do that at this time when I'm not even working, and I'd be using my student line of credit to do that. But yeah, I can definitely like have, I think people would definitely be curious, even myself, to like understand the best way to go about managing your finances throughout med school. So I hope I can find somebody to talk about it that would be comfortable like coming on my channel and giving like a little bit of a talk to people who are curious or who are going into med school. But just so you know, you shouldn't be too concerned. Like that shouldn't be your primary concern. The money is available, like the line of credit is there for students who just don't have any savings at all in order to like finance their med school. So that is how I'm currently financing my life and my med school, through my student line of credit. And my thinking is, yes, it's like $100,000, and then there's going to be some interest attached to that. And even though like people do like complain about like, certain doctors not getting paid enough, to me there's no area of medicine that you can work in that you would be like struggling for your life. Like you're going to be doing fine. Realistically, like I can understand feeling that you're not compensated for what you're doing, for sure. Like there are areas where you're working way more than you're being compensated for. Like if you were to see like the hourly amount that you're getting paid, it's not fair at all. But overall, like in terms of like, will you be able to survive? You won't be struggling. You won't be hungry. Like I'm going to be making a lot more than I would be making as a nurse, unless as a nurse I was doing a travel nurse position where I was working a lot. Like that's the only way that I could say like the incomes would be comparable. Like I'm not really too worried about having a line of credit and paying it back. I'm somebody who's pretty diligent with paying things back, and I don't really spend things lavishly, like spend on lavish things. So if you're concerned about that, I would say it's yes, you'll be in debt for like a couple years, but I couldn't see it being more than like 4 or 5 years, unless again you're making another big purchase along the way, like a huge house or like a really expensive car or something. So, but maybe I'll talk to a finance person and they'll be like, no, you're wrong. Like it's gonna take you forever to pay off. But I don't really see that being the issue. So yeah, okay, I'll come back when I look even more crazy and have some more information to share. So that is it for part one of this talk about my transition from being a nurse to being a medical student. But keep your eyes peeled because I will be posting a part two as well. So whereas before I was focusing on the things that happened before med school, part two will focus more on during med school and what I'm expecting for the next stages in terms of clerkship and residency. So stay tuned for that. I hope you like this video. Please give this video a like, comment, or share if you care, and come back for my other videos. Take care. Bye.